It's been a big season for live music. A little later on the show, we'll join Katie Kelly live at YQM Country Music Fest in Dieppe. Of course, one of several large multi-day concert events on the East Coast this summer. Beyond fun, they are significant economic drivers. Music analyst and promoter Eric Alper joins us to discuss that. Good to see you, Eric.
Good to see you too, Todd. Thanks for having me.
These are big summer events for the communities, oftentimes small communities that host them and attract large crowds, but also for the artists. These are very important, aren't they?
Yeah, especially because in the last 20 years, the artists have definitely seen a decrease in the amount of money that they're making in terms of their recorded music. Because, you know, as much as vinyl is cool and people are having cassettes, the streaming services don't really pay as much as, you know, maybe that some of these artists are used to. So they're relying on the live show, especially the festivals that are happening, especially on the East Coast, where this is the artist opportunity to maybe play in front of a crowd who don't know who they are, or maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to see them at a small club or maybe even a larger venue.
You represent musical acts. Seems like there's a lot of these multi-day festivals this year, not just in the Maritimes, of course, but right across the country. You and I talked about this a little while ago when it was really big in the news about the idea of bands that might be leery about crossing the border into the States. Are you still feeling some of that, and might that be encouraging them to stay and play some of these?
Yeah, you know, what's going on politically and on the economic tip with in the U.S. is actually bigger than when you and I talked about. Now, for sure, there are way more artists in Canada that aren't willing to go to the U.S. So they're kind of taking a look at what's available for them in Canada. And I think this summer and fall, we're seeing a lot of artists who wouldn't normally be seen at a festival show actually say yes to these shows. Not only do they, you know, feel compelled to, you know, spend money here and make their money here and hire locally, but you know, they're kind of thinking about the glass ceiling that you and I and a lot of the viewers have seen in the last 50 years, was that you had to go to America in order to break it big. There's artists now who are thinking that's not the case anymore. I do want to play the East Coast and maybe those smaller towns that we might have skipped over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting. These tickets are not cheap, but here in the Maritimes, I'm thinking of the big, you know, the Cavendish Festival, YQM that's on now. Of course, we just had the Halifax Music Festival with Nickelback, the Killers. They all seem to be doing well. They all seem to be attracting crowds. So clearly there's, you know, money that people are willing to spend on this.
Yeah, I think the music festival organizers are getting really smart since COVID because, you know, in Canada, we were kind of shut down for 2 years, in some cases 2.5 years, when America was opened up after like 3 months. So I think the organizers know that we have a real need and a real hankering to get out to these festivals, to experience the crowd, to get used to the atmosphere, which is also part of the whole performance, to check out the arts and crafts section, to check out the food and the drink section that they have. And they want to make it affordable, not just for the fans, but for families and maybe some of those, you know, kind of, people within the community who would normally not go out to a festival. They're going to make it really super easy to do that. And I think the artists are realizing this too. And maybe they're not charging as much as they would normally because it's Canada, because they know that they've got a real opportunity to earn a really good and new fan base, especially on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Most of these festivals, of course, are multi-performer events rather than a one big off show. We used to see those at Magnetic Hill in Moncton, in particular, the likes of U2, Rolling Stones, AC/DC, the Eagles. That's not the case anymore. Is that a product of the fragmenting of music, or is that just because people would rather, if they're going to spend their $120, see a few acts as opposed to the big headliner?
A lot of those big headliner, the one that sell tens of millions of albums, simply aren't going to go and do a festival act. They don't get to control the stage as much as they want. They certainly don't get to control the kind of show that they might be used to putting on in an arena. But what it does offer a lot of the other acts is a chance to maybe headline in front of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that they normally would. And for festival organizers, this is their chance to actually bring up a lot of those smaller acts that maybe they don't get paid a lot, but they certainly get the exposure rather than those large paychecks. So, you know, I wouldn't expect to see a U2 do a festival anymore, but an artist that has, you know, 10 or 15 million streams, absolutely.
Okay. I can't let you go without mentioning the poster behind you, Oasis. They rumble into Toronto very soon. That is the show of the year, no doubt. What is it that has captured the imagination? Clearly, it's not just old guys like me.
No, it's really, I think part of it is, you know, for people who grew up with Oasis, watching them go from absolutely nothing to being the biggest band in the world. Look, let's face it, we all want a happy ending. We want to see it in movies and shows and books, and to see Liam and Noel Gallagher again on stage, laughing and being together. Forget about the brothers, but just performing together. That's the happy ending I think that we all as fans want. I'm seeing the show on Monday. I think I kind of need to leave today in order to make sure that I get a good parking spot. It's going to be madness. This is a tour that nobody thought would happen.
Yeah, and it's one that brings an energy to a crowd probably like no other. Is that fair to say?
It's going to be a sing-along from the moment that they get on stage until a couple of days later, for sure. This is one for the ages.
Okay, well, we won't keep you. We know you've got to pack up the car and get down there in time. Enjoy it. We will speak again soon, no doubt. Eric Alpert.
Thank you so much for having me, Todd.
In Toronto. We'll talk again soon. All right, we'll take a break. Still to come, as I mentioned, Katie is in Dieppe live.